American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
Because of the waves of migration that happened in Amman, first of all you have the Palestinian migration to Amman, and then you have the Iraqis that are coming to Amman, that came to Amman, and then you have the Syrians, and you have the Somalis, and the Yemenis, and the Sudanis, and then you have the expat community that's also coming to Amman to work in humanitarian work. Everyone that's coming to Amman is bringing their own culture and their own music and their own food and their own ideas and the way they look at life, and that's creating a rich, vibrant fabric. My name is Mohammed Zakaria. I'm 32 years old. I'm a Palestinian, Jordanian. I've always had an identity crisis. I never had an identity crisis. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I was traveling to the U.S. once, and everybody was asking me where are you from? And I was like, where am I from? Am I from Jordan? Am I Palestinian? What am I? And so I always say I'm a Jordanian Palestinian. My parents are Palestinian. I never lived in Palestine, but like any Palestinian family, you always hear about Palestine and the stories. And I have family there, and I visit quite often. I got a skateboard when I was 10 years old as a birthday gift, and from there I was just riding around. And then when I was 16, we got the internet, and I found out you can do tricks, and that was it for me. I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Irritated? No, I don't think so. I think just interested. So many are interested in my music. They come up and say things like, how do you write those songs? What do you do first? How do you write those songs?
Skateboarding is 99% failure and 1% success. And so in order to land the trick, you have to fall so many times. And I think this shared struggle that all skateboarders understand is something that's quite unique. I understand your struggle to land this trick. I understand the mental battle that you have to go to land this trick. And so I relate to you on a deeper level. We used to go to my friend's house in Shmisani and like skate in his backyard for a bit, and then we'd go cruise the streets looking for spots. And we usually just ended up in the Burger King of Shmisani, skating down the parking lot. Like there's this small curb that we always like to skate. And from there, the Culture Street was built, and it was perfect. It was like a big pedestrian plaza. It was all marble, like anything you might need, really, like benches, ledges, stairs, anything a skater would need. And so I was like, whoa, that's our spot.
شوف نفسي افك عيوني عشان ما تهرب من الدمعة. بطلت اكتب كلام لاني بضل نفس الفضحة. غلطة الانسان عنده كلب وعقل السمعة. اللي بده ينجح بده يلمع وبحكيش انا لمعة. خيارات محصورة بين الرز وتسعة. بتمنى الخير اللي بتمنوا لي موتي بشعة. اهبل يعني والهبل هالايام بطل ينفع. باكل عشان انسى.
We used to get in a lot of trouble with people there, like because if you bring anything new into a culture, it's going to be resisted. That's like the initial reaction to it. And so from there, we started skating there, and then the Iraq War happened, and then there was like a bunch of kids who moved from Iraq, like a bunch of expat kids who moved from Iraq to Amman, and they heard about like the skate scene in Culture Street, which was like four of us. It was like me and like three other friends. And from there I started growing, and what happened after is Red Bull was having a skate competition, and I think this is the point where like skateboarding and the scene in Jordan actually blew up. So this is when we found out there was like a bunch of other people who skate. I think skateboarding is about creativity, more than anything. It's the way you see things. That tells you that there's not necessarily one way to look at things. There's so many ways to look at things. And in like a single object that you look at can be viewed from so many different perspectives, creating so many different meanings. Basically, the city is like the playground for skateboarders. Regular people call it like obstacles, like skaters call it like skate spots. Like this is not an obstacle, this is a spot for me to have fun, this is a spot for me to skate. But like at the end of the day, it's just fun, Skateboarding is fun, and this is why I think a lot of kids are hooked on skateboarding. You go out with your crew and you're just goofing around, like having fun, and you're challenging yourself. Like this is the only challenge that you have. It's a mental challenge inside your head. It's the challenge you create for yourself. Nobody's forcing you into doing like a certain trick. Nobody's forcing you to skate a certain way or a certain style. You do what you want to do, and you have the community around you to support you. I think like the space at Amman is very discriminating. Like if you're a young kid, you don't have any money, there's really nowhere for you to go. So you end up on the street, and this is where like problems start, and like women are like foreign to you, they're like alien. It's like, because you never interacted with them. Like you go to public schools, it's like segregated. You weren't allowed in coffee shops because it was like, oh, it's like they have a couples only policy. You weren't allowed in malls. It's like the space in Amman is very discriminating. It's either like residential space or a private space, and so if you didn't have a certain socioeconomic status, it was hard for you to do anything. And so that's why skateboarding was very important to me, because it was an outlet from all that stuff. And so in 2014, I got contacted by Make Life Skate Life, which is a German NGO, and what they do is like they build skate parks in underprivileged communities or areas. That was a really emotional time for me to be able to raise that much money, and then the volunteers who came to Amman, it was like a bunch of volunteers from Europe, from the States, from England, from like a bunch of different places. They met up in Amman. The thing with skateboarding is that if you're like, if you're a skater, and then you go anywhere else, you automatically have friends from the skate community. And so, these people were friends before they even knew each other. And so the energy on the construction site was, the nicest energy. Because the idea is that you form the shape of the skate park before you start laying any concrete. And so the prepping alone was a lot of work. And then the pouring the concrete, to make the concrete smooth, it has to go through 3 rounds. And it was all done by hand, I think like the love for skateboarding manifested itself in the skate park and in the construction time. And the cool thing about the construction is the construction period is that it wasn't like something that was fenced off. It wasn't like something that was dropped onto the community without them knowing like what was going on. Like the community was really involved. The name Seven Hills came from Amman because it was built on 7 mountains. I think the city is also manifested in the skate park in a way, because you see the community at the skate park, and we have kids from Palestine, we have kids from Iraq, we have kids from Syria, from Yemen, from Somalia, from Sudan, boys and girls, and they're all like mingling together and like in this community of, just kids want to have fun. If you bring something that's fun into a community and you say, here, go have fun, I think all the barriers kind of like, disappear.
My name is Cas Wouters. I'm the skateboarding director of Seven Hills. I'm from Belgium, from Leuven, and I came for the first time to Amman in 2016, the end of 2016. Like the core thing of skateboarding is having fun, and having fun makes it possible for kids to forget about all the differences they see between people and just interact on a positive way with each other. The tool to connect refugees, locals, boys, girls, just as like one thing, and that's skateboarding. If you teach the kids at a young age they're equal, they can take it with them and they can like give it to the next generation.
It's kind of hard to introduce myself here because no one can spell Matthias or pronounce it. So I go with Matze, which is like easier for them. I'm 28, I'm from Hamburg, Germany, and I got here like 4 weeks ago.
My name is Frederick, I'm 23 years old and I'm from Copenhagen, Denmark. When I first told my parents that I was going to Jordan, Amman, they was like first a bit afraid because it's here in the Middle East and it's so close to like countries where you have war like Syria and Iraq but actually now I've been here for so long and I find it very peaceful. The people are so kind here in Amman and I already made a lot of good friends with some of the locals, so it really turned my mind. I thought it was going to be different, so it turned out really positive, I think. And now I've been here for 1 month and I think it's been the most exciting experience of my life.
And the reason we are here is because Mohammed is like the founder of Philadelphia Skateboards, and also the reason why we have this park here, because he is like the go-to guy here. He's the godfather of Amman skateboarding, or let's even say Middle East. Maybe that's a little too much, but he has like connections to all over Middle East for skateboarding. But he's basically responsible that skateboarding is still a thing in Jordan or in Amman, and he tries to maintain this session like big time.
I mean, for me, the reason I wanted to build Seven Hills Skate Park it was more of a selfish reason, but it was like because I always wanted like a skate park for myself to skate, but at the same time I didn't want it to be for me only. Like I could have built like a private skate park and like charged money for people to come in, but like I wanted to share this. You know, if you're happy in a group of sad people, what is that worth? You know, what is that joy worth? So I think like joy is magnified and multiplied when it's shared, and so it's something that I always wanted is to share this joy of skateboarding and kind of like push it forward to the kid. Like I was given a gift of skateboarding, and so this is something that I wanted to pass on to other kids, and so I built Seven Hills because I wanted to share the joy of skateboarding. Really like see it like if you give kids love is what you're gonna get back. With any partners that we work with, we always make sure to tell them that we want 50% boys, 50% girls. And I think that's important because what we're trying to do is break the gender barrier. I think it's important that the boys interact with the girls and the girls interact with the boys in a public space, and they both feel respected, because a lot of the girls, they have a lot of problems being in public spaces most of the time because there's a lot of harassment. But it's very important to us that the boys learn to respect the girls in a public space, and the girls understand that they have the right to the space like the boys do, and that they are both equally responsible for the space as well.
My name is Rand from Jordan. My oldest is 16. مكان بلعب فيه، بتسلى، بفرغ طاقتي السلبية فيه، بعرف فيه أشياء جديدة، ناس جديدة. مبسوطة. إنه هذا الإشي بيعطيني شخصية قوية، لأنه هاي ألعاب تقريبا للأولاد، تخلي عندي شخصية قوية. إنه ما عنا إحنا مثلا البنت والولد نفس الإشي تقريبا، بس مش كل الناس تتقبل هذا الإشي إنه يلبس سكيت. لما أعمل أكتر شيء بخليني مبسوطة لما أعمل إشي الكل ما بحب أعمله.
They never interacted with women, and so that was like something that's super foreign for them. It's like, whoa, women is like, I don't understand girls, and so that's like it's like something that's alien for them. It's like, oh, so we have maybe I want to catcall the women and like, you know, be rough or like. But then you see it like the kids start like to interact with the girls, and they understand at the end of the day it's like, oh, they're just people like us, you know.
Somalia continued to spiral out of control. In particular, an offshoot of the failed ICU began gaining power and committing terror acts countrywide. The group, called Al-Shabaab, has claimed responsibility for multiple bombings, particularly since 2012. This Al-Qaeda-aligned jihadist group, named after the Arabic word for youth, has specifically targeted government institutions and non-Muslims. In short, Somalia has seen a massive increase in terror groups and lawlessness since the start of its civil war. Al-Shabaab represents only a small fraction of the damage the country has undergone.
أنا اسمي رملة ومن الصومال. شعور حلو لأنه تعلمت موهبة جديدة وأشياء كتيرة بالسكيت بورد. إنه البنت ما فيها شيء لو تعلمت موهبة جديدة زي الولد، بس يعني نفس الشيء الجنسين، فما لازم نفرق بيناتهم بأي شيء، حتى بالموهبة السكيت بورد بأي شيء.
I can go on and on about like the philosophy of skateboarding and how it's how it affects your character and how it builds your character and how it teaches you you know that success is really made up of like a bunch of small failures, and you fail once, you adjust your mindset and the way you're doing a trick, and then you're like, okay, let me try it this way, and then you try it and it doesn't work again, and you're like, okay, let me try it this way. So you make like small adjustments until you get to like a formula that works. And even if you land a trick, it doesn't mean you're gonna do it every try now. It's still like a constant struggle. And so that teaches you about life, really. Anything you're gonna try is gonna be, you're most likely to fail at first, but that shouldn't stop you. It's like, you look at your failures, you learn from it. I think failure is like the best teacher.
عبد الحكيم عماد بركات، عايش في الأردن، ساكن حياتي. بعدين صرنا نتعلم شوي بسيفن هيلز، بدينا أول لعب سكيت بورد. شعوري لما أتعلم حركة جديدة أو أحاول إنه أتعلم حركة جديدة، شعور بيكون كثير حلو. لما تسويها بيكون شعور أحلى، ولما تكون إنه في حدا بيلعب معك ويشجعك على هذا الإشي. أنا بحب محمد زكريا لأنه كان كل يوم تقريبا يجيب السكيتات ويعلمنا، وانا احب فكرته كمان. رأيي بهذا الاشي اشي كثير حلو. احنا هيك كنا زيهم، نيجي ونتعلم ونلعب ويتعلم اشي مش غلط يعني. أنا لما أكبر بدي أصير لاعب محترف زي توني هوك.
It wasn't until maybe within the first year of me skating that I got to go to a skate park, and that's when I saw the possibilities. That's literally when I saw people flying out of swimming pools, and that's when I devoted myself to it. In the early days, I didn't have a hero or an inspiration. But as I got into it, I found them based on my style of skating and based on my interests. And those, I mean, for sure it was Eddie Alguera, who I thought was the most innovative skater at the time. The guy who was concentrating on doing tricks. And that's what I wanted to do, I wanted to do tricks. Well, skating felt very free to me. Skating felt like this blank canvas and something that I could do on my own terms, in my own style. So immediately I was drawn to it because of that, but also because of the daredevil aspects of it. And so anytime I reached any sort of milestone of my skating, it was a big deal. And I'm talking about very simple things, like I remember the first time I was able to ride up a curb by myself. Before the ollie was created, I'm talking about like just literally manually rocking the board up and forcing it up. And that was a big deal to me because that like changed the landscape all of a sudden. I could leave the street and go on the sidewalk without getting off my board. And then fast forward to when I found pool skating, I very much remember the first time I ever got to the top of the pool and got my board out above the pool and I did a real aerial. Those things they're really gratifying, not just because they're milestones, but because a lot of times it's the goal you put on yourself. So it's all about your self-motivation, your self-confidence. and building that up, and maybe nothing else provided that for you. Nothing else provided that for me in my life, that I felt like, oh, I created this challenge and I overcame it. Skating, it doesn't matter how far you get, you can always do better. And that's what I've loved about it. You can continue to challenge yourself. You're never going to master everything in skating. Well, the environment of the skate park, first and foremost, is a place to hone your skills, a place to develop your techniques. But I think more importantly and more deeply, it's a place to find a community and to share ideas and a home away from home. I spent every waking hour at the skate park when I wasn't in school. That was it. Like, I went straight from school to the park until it closed. And then when my parents picked me up, and I found my tribe there. I found a bunch of people that thought along the same lines, had very creative aspects, were willing to push the boundaries of all kinds of, including skating, but also in terms of rules, in terms of music, in terms of fashion. It was all like this very creative group of misfits. That's my best explanation of it. And the common bond was skating. But beyond skating, there was a deeper connection because I identify with these people that, we loved something completely different, and we made that our identity. And we embraced it, and we supported each other.
You have music that's related to the culture. You have the street culture. I remember when in Culture Street, where skateboarding happened in Jordan. I remember there was a time there would be break dancers. There'd be the beatboxers there, the graffiti guys, and the hip hop guys. And so it was also the perfect name for a street culture. Graffiti artists are like skateboarders in a way, where people see a wall, they see a canvas.
My name is Ghaith Abudayeh. I'm 16 years old and I'm from Jordan. I used to watch movies and see skaters and how they are having fun. Then I met my friend Hakim, he's my classmate. So he told me about Seven Hills and I just went there and started skating. It's a really cool place, full of positive energy, and yeah, it's my favorite place on planet Earth. I really like it. There are not a lot of street artists and graffiti artists in Jordan. I want the art here in Jordan to get better. I'm trying to make my own style. Now I'm practicing to get my own style, and I do graffiti lettering. So yeah, I'm trying to make a style for me. I really like Wise One. He taught me a lot of things, and he really helped me when I started. He'd been doing graffiti for a long time. So yeah, he's the godfather of street art.
Hello, my name is Wissam Shadid, aka Wise One. I'm a full-time graffiti artist, and I've been doing that for almost 15 years. wherever you go to skate park, you'll find that it's full of graffiti. It's like a spot for graffiti. So skate park, it means always graffiti. Skating is related to graffiti in somehow. You find graffiti designs and art on the skateboard, right? You find graffiti artists painting and drawing skateboards and people skating and jumping and all that stuff. And fashion and everything, they're all related, full circle together. I draw women. I love to draw women. It's something really powerful to draw. It's something, it represents community, society, everything in our life. Woman it's all about everything. You can use art as a tool, sometimes to express yourself. Art is a sender and a receiver. You send the message through art, and people they receive the message through your art when they pass by your artwork in the streets. So it could be a powerful tool to express yourself and send messages to people, good messages.
روح يا حمام لا تصدي بضحك عريمة تتنام ريما
My name is Joanna Ariba and I'm from Jordan. Personally for me, I've never really felt the difference between a male artist doing a mural and me as a female artist doing mine. I just felt that, we're just two artists painting. If you go to a village here that is very traditional, they go back to, I think just if you go to anywhere that is just very goes back to its roots and tradition, they're very focused on this idea of I am a man and you are a woman, and it just when they say that you are a woman, it feels like, do you just insult me? I mean, what do you mean? It goes with the same thing. One day people, they did this whole campaign thing on when you tell someone that, oh, you run like a girl. Why is that an insult, why is running like a girl depicted as something that's weak? So I think that it's something that is embedded in most of our minds, most people's minds, and it's just really sad that we just associate women with something that's being weak while we're really not. I was born in a family that believed in hard work and that believes that if you're passionate enough to do something, nothing should stop you. If you believe in this, you go out and you get it. I don't really think of it as, oh look, I'm a woman, I'm doing this. I just think about it as me, Joanna, doing something, and I have this mural that I need to finish, and I want to prove it to myself. I want to do this mural, and I want to, take a step back and look at it and be like, hey, I did that. That's pretty cool, So it's kind of like me as me, not me as the female part,
Investigators in Yemen are looking into how an airstrike in the northern part of the country ended up hitting a school bus, killing 40 children and injuring 56 more. It's one of the most horrifying episodes in a grueling war that's already taken more than 10,000 civilian lives.
عشان أتعلم شيء جديد ما كنت أعرف أتعلمه من زمان، وعندي كده مواهب إن أدرب مواهب وأطورها وأزيد ثقتي بنفسي. عملت أشياء كثيرة ومنهم تعلمت كيف أنزل، منهم صرت اجتماعية أكثر، طلعت طاقاتي السلبية أكثر. السكيت بورد هو شيء كثير مرة حلو، ومنكم تتعرفوا على ناس جديدة، جنسيات جديدة، لغات جديدة، عادات وتقاليد جديدة، كل شيء جديد، ومنكم تطلعوا طاقاتكم السلبية فيه، منها تطوروا موهبة وتتعلموا شيء جديد.
Think about it, when you're living, when you're sitting at your home and just chilling, and then someday, just like that, you lose it all. And then you try to escape to another country, and all they do is just shut their doors and then they say no. What would that do to that person who lost everything? When there's a child who has lost his home, and at that young age he loses his home, he loses his own country, and then he comes to this, stranger country, and it takes them in. And then at some point someone says, hey, let's go skate, hey, let's go do art, I think that that's just something that really touches you spiritually and is like, hey, you can be okay. Maybe it's not at home, maybe you will be at home, maybe this is home. But at some point you are gonna look up and be like, hey, it's okay.
I can't say that I have a deep knowledge of the refugee crisis, but I can tell that it is something that is bigger than ever, more overwhelming than ever, and people are willing to sacrifice themselves and their families to escape some of the worst conditions. And so it's obvious that people need help. And they need somewhere to go, and thankfully there are a few countries that will provide them some sort of assistance, and I love that skateboarding has been included in that process. I think the easy way out for especially people from America who have no experience with the kind of strife that others are having to endure based on basically where they were born, is that, it's just, they're a problem, and it's not my problem. But to have true empathy for the people who are going through these hardships is to at least recognize that they're just people that were born into a bad situation, and they're trying to escape for the betterment of their family or for their kids, or for themselves. They're not trying to come and take your job. They're trying to come and survive. And that, I think that's the shift that needs to happen in terms of the collective mindset of people who just want to ignore those harder facts. That's the stuff that is the most difficult to make people understand, is that it's just humanity, and it's just people trying to live. They're not trying to infiltrate with their religious beliefs. They're just trying to survive.
Like at the end of the day, really, we're all the same. We're just people, We want the same things. We want love. We want family. We want to be accepted. We want to be understood. Like, it's a very basic human needs that we all want, and it's similar everywhere, really. I don't like labels. I think if you label something, you limit it. You build walls around it, and then that's set. This is what you are. There's this urge, like, people have to define things because it's scary if things are not defined. And so this is why I don't like to define things or like use words like refugee, because that's also like, that takes the power from people. When you call them refugees, it's like, you're powerless, you're helpless. you're here, you don't have a home, you're here temporarily, you're supposed to go back home. But if you say, you know, you're people, then that's a greater understanding of people. I think, like, I don't see the kids that come to the park as refugees. I see them as just kids who are going through rough circumstances. And it's our duty as a community to embrace them. Like, people reflect on themselves being called refugees as like, they fall into this trap of like, oh yeah, I'm a refugee, I'm powerless, I don't, I'm not in like home, and that goes back to the idea of home also. What is home? You know? We're all like people who are living on this planet, and this planet is home. And the idea of fucking borders, man, as like a man-made concept. Like, I'm trying to think of like the first person who like put borders around a piece of land and said, this is my land, you know, I own this land. Like, who was the first person to do that? Group of people coming together to form this jungle that we live in, and then we create the systems, and I don't understand where the hate comes from. It's like, you know, why do we hate refugees, or why do we hate, you know, people of certain color, or that I don't understand it. I don't understand how that works. Why do you think you are better than them because you were going through you know, you were given better circumstances that they have been given. You know, you were dealt a better hand.
Fighting in South Sudan has spread outside the capital Juba after a reported coup attempt at the weekend. President Salva Kiir has accused his former vice president of orchestrating the fighting.
I promise you today that justice will prevail.
A report released by the UN in early May is the first in-depth examination of the violent ethnic civil strife that is tearing apart South Sudan. It states that thousands have been killed and more than 1 million South Sudanese have been displaced. 6.9 million people in the region are facing the threat of mass starvation.
They were living home, they were leading happy lives, and then wars happen, and they find themselves in like, you know, areas where like, you know, in a place where I either move or like I die. That was like the only option for them. We need to think about it that way. Like, if you were in their position, what would you do? Would you like stay in your place, or would you like try to save your family and your kids and like try to lead a better life? So the Sudanese community, unfortunately, they're not considered as refugees in Jordan. And I say unfortunately because this means that they don't get any support from international NGOs like the UN or the UNHCR. They don't get any support from them because they don't have refugee status. But this also means that they don't have refugee status and they don't have citizenship status. So they're kind of stuck in this in-between of you know, we're not in Sudan, we're not refugees here, so we don't get any support. We're not citizens here, so we don't get to work or go to schools. Or so the story is that there was a big number of Sudanese refugees in Jordan, and I think in 2014 they were protesting the way they were being treated by the government.
The deportations followed months of protests by some of the 3,500 Sudanese refugees in Jordan. They set up a protest camp outside the UN Refugee Agency to demand more aid and resettlement to other countries.
The refugees say Jordanian security forces put them on buses, telling them they were going to be resettled. Instead, they took them to the airport.
And so the government was like, you know, okay, you don't like it, go back to Sudan. And this is what they did. Actually, they got all the Sudanese refugees together, shipped them up with them, you know, got them to the airport and shipped them back to Sudan, which is very shameful for me. It's a very shameful act, really.
أنا اسمي إيهاب
من السودان وأنا عمري 15. لقد أتينا هنا لجوء. هناك ظروف صعب جدا، وأنا جيت هنا عشان أحسن المعيشة تبعي. أنا بحب السكيت لأني شفته من أول مرة، وأنا بالسودان كنت بشوفه بالتلفزيون وما تخيلت إني أركبها بالواقع. وأنا بستمتع أكتر لما أطلع برات البيت بلعب بالسكيت. والله نادرا ما بكون زعلان ومعصب، نادر جدا. ألقى شخص غريب بالشارع أو هيك اسمه بيلقاني فعلا بيضل يعني بيضل يحكي أبو سمرة، ومرات ناس السيارات بيجوا يحكوا أبو سمرة بيسبسبوا وبيضلوا مريحين.
Resistance.
فهي اللي بتحكي لي خلاص روح السكيت، روح العب. وأنا بستمتع أكتر لما أطلع برات البيت بلعب بالسكيت.
بحس مع الشعب يعني ابني ويرفع لي رأسي يعني. والله صعبة حياتي، صعبة والله، لكن نقول الحمد لله. صعبة.
بتمنى لو وقفوا الحروب ولا صاروا يعني لو رجعت زي زمان والله بتكون أحلى السودان، ولو رجعوا للزراعة وهيك أشياء بتصير أحسن دولة حلوة للزراعة وهيك.
I found out that we're really racist people. It's quite, a shock for me because it's so embedded in our culture. It's like interwoven with like the way we think that we don't even notice it. How racist we are. Like I remember when the Sudanese started coming to the park, like a lot of kids like didn't want to deal with the Sudanese because like, oh, they're black. I don't want to deal with them. But like you can't hate on kids for something like that. It's so embedded. Like this is the way they were being taught. This is the way they were being raised. And like I said, it's not hate. It's just ignorance. We don't understand you, so we're afraid of you. Seeing the way that perspective flipped is really something I'm proud of. Ihab and Hamza and Yaqub to be community leaders. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine the other day, and I thought it was important to empower the people, and she said, if you're empowering the people, it means that you're assuming that they have no power, when in reality they have all the power. And I thought that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective on things, and it's just reminding the kids the power they have, and giving them the, it doesn't matter where you come from.
My name is Wade. I'm from Sudan. I want to stay in Jordan and go to USA and play skateboard over there. Because this skateboard I like so much from my heart.
Syria's war is a mess. The first shots in the war were fired in March 2011 by Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad against peaceful Arab Spring demonstrators. In July, the protesters start shooting back, and some Syrian troops even defect from the Syrian army to join them. They call themselves the Free Syrian Army, and the uprising becomes a civil war.
It is in the national security interests of the United States to respond to the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons through a targeted military strike.
Russia proposed on Monday that Syria surrender control over its chemical weapons to the international community for its eventual dismantling to avoid a U.S. military strike.
Gaza camp is in Jarash, which is a city north of Amman, and they come to the park every Saturday. These refugee camps started as a temporary solution and turned into permanent cities.
At least 25 Palestinians have died and hundreds have been injured during protests on the border between the Gaza Strip and Israel.
6 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces. It happened during protests along Gaza's border.
14,000 Palestinians gathered on the Gaza Strip's border with Israel, burning tires and throwing rocks, firebombs and grenades at soldiers. That's according to the Israeli military.
مجدي حامد يونس من مخيم غزة. يعني لي منطقة بنروح نلعب عندها، بنطش عندها، نتسلى بدل ما احنا زهقانين.
ما فيش يعني مكان نلعب فيه يعني لأنه فيش يعني الدنيا وسخ وفيش حد تلعب معاه وفيش مكان نتنزه فيه مكان كويس زي الحديقة بنروح نلعب هناك نتسلى وياريت يكون في عندنا مكان نلعب فيه كمان.
نورة عبد الله عياش، أنا من مخيم غزة.
أنا عبد الله عياش، أنا من غزة.
أنا لما بتزلج بحس باللعب الممتع كثير.
زي
أنا حابب لما أكبر أصير ممرضة.
أنا لما أكبر بصير دكتور.
أنا بدي أرجع لفلسطين لأني بحبها.
أنا برجع على فلسطين لأني بحبها.
لما بدي أكبر وأروح على فلسطين بدي أعلن على السكيت بورد خليهم يجي يلعبوا.
أنا اسمي نغم سميح رجالي. أنا من جرش. الحديقة بتعنيني إنها فيها متعة، بنلعب كثير، بنتسلى مع صحباتنا مع أصدقائنا.
مجدي حامد يونس من مصر. الحديقة بتعنيني إنها حلوة تخلينا نضيع وقت غاد ونتنزه وبنلعب غاد. أنا بحس لما ألعب على السكيت بورد بحس بالمتعة والفرح.
اسمي سوسن مجدي حامد يونس من مخيم غزة. احنا بنحب نروح هناك عشان بنحب نلعب ممارسة اللعب كل يوم كل سبت هناك، فبنحب نروح هناك لأن تعرفنا على صديقات. بحب نفسي إنه نرجع لفلسطين والله يرزق كل شاب فلسطيني في المخيم والله يحرر فلسطين.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. They want to change your religion. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not going to happen. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to have more World Trade Centers. It's going to get worse and worse, folks.
So the word Muslim in Islam, the word Muslim in the Arabic language, it means, the actual word, it means that you submit yourself to God. And by submitting yourself to God, you agree to be peaceful to all His creation and be to be one, actually. In Islam, it says that the reason we are here is to build the earth and to make it a habitable place creation, for animals, for plants, for like you know, I think I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm a Muslim as well, and I think Islam is a very interesting religion, and the Quran is a really interesting book. And of course you have like crazy people. There's crazy Americans, there's crazy Chinese, there's crazy Arabs, there's crazy, you know, Russians, there's all sorts of crazy everywhere. But focusing on that 1% that is crazy, this is where the problem is being created. This is where generalization is being made. If you only think of people, of Arabs, for example, or Muslims, and the only images that come to mind is protests and like bad images in the media, then this is, of course, this is what you're gonna think about. I do blame the Americans for their. It's not hate. It is ignorance that developed into hate. You know, it's. But at the end of the day, it's really ignorance. It's. You don't know something, and then you assume that what you see is the truth. Then you have a problem. If you don't research, if you don't take the time to get to know the different side of things, then you have a problem. And I think this is the problem with Americans, is that they have created this lifestyle where you go to work and you chase the money and you chase this certain lifestyle, the American dream, and then you don't have time for anything else. I think skateboarding is creating this understanding of humanity, maybe. I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
Got no sway.
Hello.
Hypocrites under Hippocratic oath, using melodies, medicines up in epiphanies. Yo, crack the shell back in reverence to converse with the ghost. There's no telling what evidence, but I know what I know, that every soul intelligence holds the seed that influences our navigational systems to interpret the nuances and inclination, transcending even concepts of humanness. Like I'll beat myself up if I leave you in bruises. When I look in the mirror, all I see is your face. When I look in the mirror, all I see is your face. When I look in the mirror, all I see is your face. When I look in the mirror, all I see is your face.